Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here, and you are very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Are you feeling charitable? Then smash the subscribe button and the like button, and please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to Thursday's edition of the DC Daily. And kicking off today's DC Daily, I want to talk about David Ayer's Suicide Squad because I really haven't got into depth about that movie. One, I'm confident it's going to happen. I think everyone I talk to is actually confident this is going to happen. But are we just going to get David's original vision for this, or will they put in Steppenwolf, which we were told originally they were, but it was never shot? The mother box is something Zach had discussed with David. Again, the studio didn't allow Steppenwolf and didn't allow the mother boxes to be put back in. Both Steppenwolf and mother boxes are pure VFX. This is something that's very easy to put back in and to work on, and it's not going to take a very, very long time. And this is the kind of thing I was saying in the Dingus Bingus takedown video yesterday, where he's talking about 9-10 months. Now, normally, for a whole movie that needs total VFX, that's what it's going to take. But this film isn't going to take that. And if it does take 9 months, so what? We'll wait, right? Now, ideally, we want to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad before we see Zack Snyder's Justice League, because in continuity, that's how they were shot, and that's how the storytelling makes sense. So I would love to see David Ayer's Suicide Squad with Steppenwolf in and with the mother boxes in. I think it's a realistic thing that can happen. As I say, very confident that we will see David Ayer's cut of Suicide Squad, which of course is very, very exciting. And it's all part of the hype of what's going on now. So, yeah, I think people dismissing that they can't add the mother boxes back in, or Steppenwolf, or other things that he wanted to do. Look, he's got a cut that's more his vision than what we saw in theatres and on Blu-ray and DVD. But if you want, look, Zack Snyder's getting the opportunity to actually show us his vision, his definitive vision of his Justice League movie. So why shouldn't David? It doesn't make sense, right? I think when negotiations were happening for Zack Snyder's Justice League, they were happening for David Ayer's Suicide Squad as well. I'm very confident about that. I don't have a doubt about that. So I truly believe that we're in a situation now where we can have both the definitive vision of David Ayer's Suicide Squad and the definitive vision of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So I think it's more than plausible that extra sequences will be put into David's movie, so it's definitively his vision. Zack Snyder has said there's a bit more work to do with his Justice League movie, so if it's just a case of a few more visual effects and Martian Manhunter and just editing the thing together, it wouldn't take that long. But clearly, in some elements, he may even be going back to the drawing board. And when you look at the rumours that he actually was showing Jim Lee and Walter Hamada ideas for cliffhangers, because they're talking about maybe having it as a TV series rather than a 4-hour cut of a movie. Look, I'm happy either way. Would I prefer the 4-hour movie? Yes. But if you've got a kind of Game of Thrones Zack Snyder's Justice League, and it kind of hints that we will get a Justice League 2 and 3 as seasons, as a TV series, as a Game of Thrones type of epic series, right? Of epic proportions. Because if you weren't going to do Justice League Season 2 and 3, why would you do it as a TV series anyway? Because they want us to get used to it being framed in that way. So for me, people dismissing the opportunity of Steppenwolf and the mother boxes being put back in to David Ayer's Suicide Squad really don't know what they're talking about. Right now, anything and everything is on the table until we're told different at the DC Fandom. The DC Fandom is a very important kind of piece of the puzzle, if you like, because we know things have changed since AT&T have brought Warner Brothers. It's now, the whole platform is Warner Media. We've got HBO Max, and we pretty much know already that they're developing this multiverse strategy. And that takes me off to Patty Jenkins, who's revealed in an Empire magazine article that she could be working on another kind of Wonder Woman kind of thing, but this time animation. Now this would expand again on Themyscira, Fantasy Island, or whatever you want to call it. Now this is not instead of the Fantasy Island Themyscira movie they're planning, a live action movie they're planning on doing. This would be on top of that. And that makes me think, if Wonder Woman is going to have Wonder Woman 3, a live action TV series, and an animated series, it kind of hints towards maybe every single franchise in the DC live action universe having all these bells and whistles as well. So imagine it. Aquaman. Because here's the clue here, because Patty is hinting all this already, and then you look at James Wan's Aquaman. Aquaman 2 is definitely happening. The Trench movie is definitely happening. And wasn't there rumours about some kind of animated series for that? So it looks like every one of these heroes, every one of these characters' universes is going to get the same treatment. So you've got this big franchise, then you've got universes within a universe, really expanding each and every universe. Now that's amazing. And we haven't even started the conversation about who can cross over with who. The whole thing is a really good idea, and it expands everything. You can have certain projects in the Aquaman universe for movie theatres, some for HBO Max. It can be segregated into different departments, and this is really good because you expand the business side of it so huge, and the fans are going to be so excited, so they will never finish digesting Aquaman, Aquaman 2, the Trench movie, an animated series. The same with Wonder Woman, and I expect the same treatment for Superman and Batman and all these other characters they're going to develop. And don't you worry, you people who always complain it's always Batman and Superman that get movies and live action versions. I think all your favourite DC characters are going to get the same treatment. That's even more exciting. And so with what Patty's saying about Wonder Woman expanding to more movies, Wonder Woman 3, and talking of Wonder Woman 3, by the way, and she's talking about putting that in the real world. She's always spoken about it being set in the modern era, but she's talking about looking at what's happening today, COVID, Black Lives Matter, and actually focusing a Wonder Woman story on those themes. Now, it's interesting because Christopher Reeve wanted to do a similar thing with Superman 4. He wanted to deal with the commentary of nuclear war, nuclear armament and disarmament, right? And I remember Tom Mankiewicz saying to him, Tom Mankiewicz actually rewrote the whole of Superman the movie and done such a great job, but said never try and deal with anything in a superhero movie that, you know, a superhero could solve from the real world. And that was Tom's kind of opinion to Chris, and Chris obviously didn't listen. He really wanted to have this discussion. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with having real-world discussions in superhero movies. I'm kind of weighed down by realism and commentary of the real world in our TV shows and our movies right now. It seems everyone wants to do it. But if you can do it well, it would be very interesting. So how could you do a Wonder Woman 3 set in COVID-19, set with Black Lives Matter? Well, Wonder Woman could be the thing, the entity that inspires people to listen about Black Lives Matter, to listen about treating people equally, and the paranoia about COVID-19, people wearing masks, not wearing masks, even believing in the conspiracy theories, and even the vaccine argument against the anti-vaxxers argument, right? Everyone has an interesting point of view, and for me, nobody's right and nobody's wrong. People, say if you're claustrophobic, you don't want to wear a mask. The other day in America, passengers on a bus brain damaged this driver for refusing, the bus driver for refusing to actually put on a mask, and now he's in a coma with brain damage. It's a crazy apocalyptic world that we live in right now in 2020, and it's definitely all there to put into a kind of superhero movie. So I would be kind of interested in that if it's done well and it's not overly preachy. And Wonder Woman can't solve COVID-19, and I'm sure Patty's aware of that. Wonder Woman can't solve racism, and I'm sure Patty is aware of that. But I think what's kind of interesting about this, she can be an inspiration for us at home watching this to kind of say, do you know what? We need to love each other a bit more, because that's what Wonder Woman has always been about, an inspiration about love, a symbol of love. And if we could all wear that love on our sleeve or on our heart, maybe we could be a more better people. I believe to a point, everyone's got a little bit of racism in their heads. Everybody's got a little bit of bigotry in their heads. That little place in the corner of your brain that nobody talks about. You sometimes, when you're thinking to yourself, maybe you've been a little bit racist, and then you thought, oh my God, how did I say that, right? And we regret it afterwards, or we're a little bit sexist, or when we look at an attractive woman, we imagine what we'd like to do to her. It's okay. It's okay. These are natural things. But we've got to realise that what goes on in our heads can't go on in the real world. And we must treat everyone equally and fairly and embrace everyone and actually treat people as individuals, not treat them because of the colour of their skin, whether it's a positive or negative way, right? It's about looking at a person and saying, I've just spoken to you. I like you. I don't like you. I probably won't talk to you again. Not because you're black, not because you're gay, not because you're transgender. I just don't like your personality, and I'm not going to talk to you again. And I think Wonder Woman dealing with this could be very, very interesting. Now, on to my next subject. I want to talk about Ray Fisher again, because I think a lot of people are very naive about this situation. I think they don't understand that many sets, 75% of sets, have the same issues going round them. It's not what you see on your bonus features. Everyone doesn't love each other. They're not really a family like they say they are. Making a movie, a TV show, is very stressful. There's schedules. You've got to get it right. It's an art form, right? And for actors, you've got to say the same fucking words again and again and again. I remember a couple of Christmases ago, we did a pantomime in the theatre here in Cyprus. I love pantos, by the way, and I'm definitely going to try and do it again this Christmas. But I remember rehearsing an original panto that I actually co-wrote. And I was just, in rehearsals, saying the same words again and again and again. And in the end, it does become jarring as much as you enjoy it. What you really want to do is get to those performances when you do them live and feed off people, and people are feeding off your performance. So it's very difficult. So when you're making these movies and these TV shows, tempers are really high. Everyone wants to make the best product they possibly can. And I think that sometimes tempers lose themselves and people get angry. Now, some of the things I've heard that allegedly Joss Whedon got up to and did are obviously crossing the line. But I think the Justice League 2017 set is another situation. And I think at the end of the day, everyone was an extreme amount of pressure. The actors didn't want Whedon. They wanted Zack. Whedon was just totally wound up. And probably everyone didn't act in a, let's say, without putting gender into this, a gentlemanly way, whether it was females or the males or whatever. Obviously, Whedon was under pressure, but that's no excuse. Now, I'm wondering what people actually think what's going to come of this. First of all, Whedon ain't going to jail, right? I can assure you of that. Secondly, Joss Whedon's career has been on a slump since Feige booted him out of Marvel Studios. And getting that opportunity on Justice League was last chance saloons for Joss. This is the entertainment industry. 1 minute, you're the writer-director of the first Avengers movie, and they're lauding you, and they're telling you how amazing you are, right? And then all of a sudden, you're out on your ear after the sequel. Nobody wants you. Then you get the opportunity of a lifetime. Do a good job with the reshoots on Justice League and the rewrites, right? You get Batgirl. And you're with DC, and you're reshaping DC with Jeff Johns. He didn't. He didn't do a good job with Justice League because it was impossible. Tempers flared, and a lot of indecent behaviour happened on that set. And I believe Joss wasn't the only one who acted improperly. I know that's not going to win me a lot of friends. Now, what do you do from this? I think the best thing Joss Whedon can do at this point is just, the only way he can save himself now is to write an absolute monologue on Twitter or wherever or whatever he wants to do and say, listen, I came in, I was asked to rewrite a movie, and I was expected to do a certain tone by a certain time frame, and unfortunately the situation was impossible, and I didn't realise before I agreed to take the job on. And I must admit, I did fall under the pressure. I did sometimes treat people improperly, and I just want to apologise to every single actor and crew member of the Justice League set that I did act wrongly, and it's a heartfelt apology. And just to come clean, for right now, I think that's the best thing. I think until he does that, it's going to go on and on and on. And in the end, I don't really want to be hearing about this, even throughout Zack Snyder's Justice League release and David Ayer's Suicide Squad. I want to move on from it. I agree with Ray coming out. He was treated improperly. His scenes were cut. His fellow actors and friends weren't treated properly, and crew members weren't treated properly. He's making a stand. It's a good thing. But I just don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know if people think this guy's going to jail. He's not going to work anymore anyway. Not big time anyway. So I think people are expecting doors to be kicked in and things to change. I hope that sets are a bit more friendly for actors and crew members. But as I say, it's the biggest stressful environments. It's one of the most stressful workplaces you can be at. And everyone's obsessed with getting their part right. And ultimately, I was seeing the other day, what was it, Gary Oldman and Francis Ford Coppola on the Bram Stoker's Dracula set. And they would go, Francis was trying to make Gary understand what he wanted from him. And Gary just wasn't getting it. And this was a 5-minute video, and they were going to and from like a tennis match, right? Until they actually understood each other. That's what it's like on a set. It's stressful because the director's trying to convey what they want from the actors. And sometimes either the actors will refuse or don't see it that way or just don't understand what the director wants. And it's very, very difficult. And very few directors have got the temperament for those kind of working conditions. And I think that's where the problem lied with Justice League. I suppose what I'm trying to say about Justice League, we all know what happened with Zack Snyder and then how Joss Whedon treated the cast and crew was totally wrong. But I think it's got a sell-by date. For me, I want to be more and more focused on the positivity. Now, if Ray Fisher wants to get some justice for him, his fellow cast members and crew members, I applaud him. But it's not for me to really get into it that deeply. I like to talk about it as it develops. I will react to it, of course I will. And I want justice to be done, don't get me wrong. But I really do want to focus on DC fandom and the positivity of these great announcements, this multiverse strategy and what it means for the future of DC live action. Rather than going over and over the same thing again, we know what happened with Justice League is wrong, but we are getting the definitive visions of David Ayer's Suicide Squad and Zack Snyder's Justice League, as well as a hell of a lot more. So I think we should be happy about that and maybe leave the past in the past. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back tomorrow with even more DC Daily. See you again soon.